Another C programming question asked in GATE 2019. Here we are given only one function, which is the main method. We are also given a few variables, I, j, sum. There's a while loop which is executing based on a condition, and there are three statements inside the while loop. There are three statements. See, statement number 1, statement number 2, and statement number 3. So there are three statements in this while loop, and we are asked to find the number of times the variable sum. The number of times the variable sum will be printed when the above program is executed. The variable sum, as you can see, is inside the body of the loop. So if you are asked to find the number of times the variable sum will be printed, what we are in effect being asked is how many times the body of the loop will run. If you are asked to print, see, any of these statements, had you been asked to find the output, then also it would have been a case of examining the number of times this loop runs. Or if you would have been asked how many times does this statement execute, then you have to examine the number of times the body of the loop executes. So without further ado, let's move on to solving this question. So how do we go about solving this question? What we'll do is we'll examine every statement, we'll move line by line and see how the values of the variables given to us, there are three variables given to us. What are they? I, j, and sum. We'll see how these three variables behave as and when this program executes. We have three variables, we'll maintain their values. This is a pretty straightforward question. All it will test is your, I won't say ability, but it will test your patience, definitely, because it involves floating point operations, and will also test your accuracy. Okay, so this is a question of patience, to test your patience and accuracy. There's not much in this question, if you ask me. This is a very elementary level question where you will only have to see how every line of the program behaves as and when the execution is carried out. So I has a value of 2.0 to start with. J has a value of 1.0. Sum is given 0.0. These are all floating point numbers. Now see, look at the condition here. Here we have how many operators? We have the division operator and we have the greater than operator. We know that all arithmetic operators have higher precedence than the relational operators. Greater than is a relational operator, just like less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to. These are my relational operators. All relational operators have lower precedence than the arithmetic operators. So here we have an arithmetic operator, division, which has a higher precedence than a relational operator. What we do now is we first evaluate this division part, that is I divided by j. What is the value of I? 2.0. What is the value of j? 1.0. So if you divide I by j, 2.0 divided by 1.0 will give you 2.0, and 2.0 is greater than this number, this 0.0625. And since the condition is satisfied, it evaluates to be true, we enter the body of the loop. In the body of the loop, we find a statement j equal to j plus j. So here the value of j is 1. So if we add 1 with 1 itself, we get 2.0. And this 2.0 is assigned to j. That's why the value of j changes from 1 to 0. In the next line, we have sum equal to sum plus I divided by j. Now what is the value of I? The value of I is 2.0. The value of j has changed to 2.0 as well. So 2.0 divided by 2.0 will give me a value of 1.0. The value of sum is 0.0. So 0.0 plus 1.0 will give me 1.0, and that is initialized to sum again. Sum changes from 0.0 to 1.0. And printf. If you examine the output, it's quite clear that the number of values that will be printed will be equal to the number of times the variable sum will be printed, as the output that we are getting here is depending on the variable sum. Now the value of sum right now is 1.0, and remember there is a format specifier \n and escape sequence at the end of this format specifier %f. Okay, what does %f mean? %f means we are trying to print a floating point value, and \n is an escape sequence which will take us to the next line after the current value is printed. Now, after we are done with this printf statement, we'll again move on to this condition checking part. What is the condition here? I divided by j. What is the value of I? 2. What is the value of j? 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 1.0 to be precise, and 1.0 happens to be greater than 0.0625. So we enter the body of the loop and we increment the value of j by j itself. J now becomes 2 plus 2, 4.0. Sum equal to sum plus I by j. What is I? 2.0. What is j? 4.0. So 2 divided by 4 will give us 0.5. And if you add 0.5 with 1, what you get is 1.5. Sum now becomes 1.5 and this value of sum is printed. The outputs that we'll get, the number of outputs that we'll get will be same as the number of times the variable sum will be printed. Again, we move on to the condition checking part. I divided by j. Again, the value of I is 2. The value of j has incremented to 4. 2 divided by 4 will give me 0.5, which happens to be greater than this number. We enter the body of the loop. We increment j by itself. So 4 plus 4 will give me 8, and that value of 8 is assigned to j. In the next line, we have sum equal to sum plus I divided by j. Now, 2 divided by 8. What is 2 divided by 8? 2 divided by 8 will give me 0.25. And if you add 0.25 with the value of sum, which is 1.5, what we get is 1.75. After this line executes, we'll print the value of sum, which is currently 1.75. Next, we move on to the condition part, I divided by j. Now, 2 divided by 8. So, 2 divided by 8, how much does it come to? 2 divided by 8, let me do the calculation in rough. 2 divided by 8 will give me 1 by 4, and 1 by 4 will come out to be 0.25. If I am not mistaken, 1 by 4 should be 0.25. And now 0.25 is added to the current, and 0.25, we were here, right? We are done with the printing and now we are here. So 2 divided by 8 is giving me 0.25, which is again greater than 0.0625. So we entered the body of the loop, j is incremented by itself and we get a value of 16.0. Sum equal to sum plus I by j. If I divide 2 by 16, okay, let me do it here. If I divide 2 by 16 so that all of you can also see how the calculation is done. I mean, I know how all of you know how the calculation is done, but let's go step by step. Let's be very careful. Let's not make any silly mistakes whatsoever. I told you at the beginning that this is a test of patience and accuracy. Here, our patience is tested. Although you will be given a calculator in the GATE examination, so you can make use of that. But it's better to carry out such small calculations by yourself, because using the calculator will take up some more time and you will be unnecessarily wasting time on these unimportant matters. So 2 divided by 16 will give me 1 by 8, which comes out to be, let's see, that's 8 goes into 10 one time, giving me a remainder of 2, that's 20, so it goes 2 times, so it's 0.125. I divided by j comes out to be 0.125, which I add with sum. If I add 1.75 with 0.125, what should I get? I should get a value, let's see. I don't have a calculator in front, so I'm doing it manually. 7, 8, I'm getting 1.875. Printf, the value of sum, which is currently 1.875. Sum has changed from 1.75 to 1.875. Again, we are taken to the condition part. I by j, we just now found out it came to be 0.125, which is greater than 0.0625. We entered the body of the loop, j equal to j plus j. Now j becomes, in place of 16, 32.0. J is now 32.0. If we divide, we are carrying out this statement, I by j. So if we divide 2 by 32, how much should we get? Let's see. So this is my rough part. Okay. So here, in my rough part, what I have to do now is, I have to divide 2 by 32. So if I divide 2 by 32, I get 1 by 16, which comes out to be 10 goes into 0, 100, 16 goes into 6 times, that's 96, I get 4, 16 2s are 32, and I get 80, so I get a 5 here, right? Yeah, I get 0.0625. So we have finally managed to arrive at a value which is same as this, 0.0625. Now what will happen here is I by j has come out to be 0.0625. If I add this value to my current value of sum, what I get is 1.875 plus 0.0625. That's 1.875, 0 here, 5, 7, 13, 9, 1. So that comes out to be 1.9375. Comes out to be 1.9375. The value of sum comes out to be 1.9375. Now, since it has come out to be 1.9375, this value will also be printed because it is the current value of sum. Sum came out to be 1.9375 due to this statement. Now I'll have to print the value, which is 1.9375. After this, I'm taking to this part again. What is I by j? We just now found out 2 by 32 to be 0.0625. Now, 0.0625 is same as this value, which is also 0.0625, but it's not equal. Finally, my condition has evaluated to false. So this condition is not satisfied and will be taken out of the loop. We are taken out of the loop where we find a return statement. That means the main method is returning a value of 0 to the operating system, which brings an end to the execution of the program. Finally, we can clearly see that the number of times the variable sum was printed when this program executed is how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has been executed 5 times and the variable sum has been printed 5 times. The loop executed 5 times and the variable sum was also printed 5 times. So I hope this was a meaningful video for you and I hope it helped you. If you have any doubts, you can leave it in the comment section below. I'll try to help you out in the best way possible. So I hope this has helped. Thank you.